Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Comm Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me over?
Pacho, this is Comm Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Comm Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Hurrah! Get some. What's going on, everybody? Happy Halloween. Well, let's just start the show how we usually do. Hey, it's Baby Friday, Friday Night Eve. Goddamn, it's almost the weekend. So I'll tell you a little bit about this mask and how I ended up getting it. So in just a second, but let's get all the pleasantries out of the way. Hey, this show is brought to you by the VA. Hey, if you haven't you put a claim together to basically get your disability claim in the system. Hey, now is the time to act, because under the PAC Act and presumptive conditions, you don't have to submit any proof for a lot of the things. Again, if you deploy to Iraq or Afghanistan and anything that the PAC Act during that time frame, hey, you're good to go. But nonetheless, I mean, hey, it's I say now is the time to act because of the simple fact that you'll be able to get all those other things trying to get you 100% that you've tried in the past without having to pay somebody, because if you're paying somebody, you're going wrong, in my own opinion. So if you need help and you want to be able to basically, you need assistance, or you want me to point you in the right direction or help put a claim together, I can do that for you. And hopefully we'll also get you, to invest and save some of that money that you're getting from the VA as well for your future. So, hey, now's the time to act and do it. All right. And, hey, look, this show wouldn't be here today if we weren't, if you didn't support if we didn't help support the American Constitution. So what does that mean? Is basically, hey, if you like what you hear or the mask that you're seeing, I'll take this thing off here in just a second. It's like, subscribe, and follow. Hit us up on I'm on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube. In every streaming platform. Let somebody know, so that way, at the end of the day, let's get some of these algorithms moving in the right direction, because I think the information that we share, the community that we've built in this platform has been really, really good. So, hey, if you're all about supporting the American Constitution, free speech, right to bear arms, the right to vote, all those amazing things that the Constitution brings us, then, hey, like, subscribe, and follow. If not, then that's fine too. I mean, it's your own prerogative. You can check something out from the folks at Sitchradio.com who were helped build this platform for the last couple of years. So shout out to Brian Colburn and everybody else. All right. So I think that's pretty much all the pleasantries out of the way. Hey, last thing, little self-promotion. If you want to find out, your financial independence number and what is that you need for when you when you retire later on, and you want to get something going, hit me up at the show. I'll be more than glad to show you ways that you can build your personal wealth, and you can have some by the time you retire. No pressure, no commitment, no bullshit, just education, and what you do with the information thereafter. It's up to you. And the best thing is that it's free. Anyways, so let's get this show on the road. So first of all, this amazing mask is, those of you who are familiar with lucha libre or wrestling, basically, even though I'm not Mexican, I grew up watching this stuff as a kid. Back in the day, there used to be these comic books. They weren't really comics. They were more like picture books where it was actual photos with the little bubbles of the story. I mean, they were pretty popular in the 70s and in the 80s when I was a kid in Colombia. And anyways, this wrestler right here, his name is Blue Demon. And actually, it's been like a hierarchy of, it's been passed down through the family, just like El Santo, which is another famous wrestler who these guys, they weren't really rivals, but they were wrestle against each other once in a while, kind of like WWE type of stuff. But anyways, and it was like these guys were like our versions of James Bond / wrestler and whatever else. They solved crimes. They helped for the poor. You know, they were kind of like superheroes. Anyways, my wife got me this mask when she went to do some anime stuff, translating for a Comic-Con in Mexico, and which brought a lot of several Japanese animators and artists to that show. So she brought me. I believe it was the son of the original Blue Demon, or Blue Demon, as we used to say it. You know, one of the fan. She was the. I'm going to take this off. The Spanish, the voice actor for Naruto in Spanish. She was a fan of some of the animators that you know, this company brought over that my wife was translating for. Anyways, and the lady was gracious enough to, as a gift, she got all these masks from those wrestlers, and this was one of them. And anyways, and it's even autographed by you know, the son of Blue, who is now the actual wrestler. And then this other guy named Mil Máscaras, thousand faces or 1,000 masks, was there as well. So it was pretty cool. So I thought you know, in lieu of Hallows Eve being today, I thought you know, it'd be pretty neat to wear that mask. So anyways, but yeah, so I want to talk about today about some of the costumes and I made a couple of notes. Some of the costumes I wore as a kid, or better yet, was made to wear growing up down in Colombia. And I think I kind of, as I was putting the show together, or what was I going to talk about, I kind of like, holy shit, there's a pattern here. Just my sister always had like the better costumes, and I just had like crappy ones in my eyes. But also, you know, I also made some costumes for my kids, and obviously you kind of pass on the same thing that you did when growing up. So, one of the earlier costumes that I recall is my dad had come to the U.S. To work. This is in the late 70s, early 80s. He came to the U.S. He worked in New York for quite some time, raised some money, whatever, and brought us back some costumes. And I remember my sister had, those of you who are old enough, and maybe they still have these costumes, they were like these plastic suit type costumes that even when I came here to the U.S., they still sold them. You could buy them at a grocery store. It was like this plastic overall, whatever, and it was whatever with a mask, right? So my sister got Wonder Woman, which was, you know, it was pretty cool. The old style Wonder Woman. Those of us who grew up with Linda Carter, hubba, remember. And then my costume was this. It was like this metallic owl. Yes, as in an owl, like the one that goes hoo, 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 you know, one of them. It was this owl thing. And, you know, while everybody else was, you know, vampire, little devil, diablito, whatever. I got this, but, you know, these were USA costumes, obviously. So, you know, we're probably the coolest kids on, you know, I thought. Anyways, but yeah, I had this costume of an owl. And I remember that you know, and if you're familiar with Latin culture, is that we make fun of just about anything and everything, especially within our own clan or family, right? So, you know, they started telling my sister, like my aunts and cousins, stuff, that she looked like like somebody that was working at an oil rig, you know, digging for oils, because you know, obviously she had a suit, whatever. So they used to call her, you know, petrolera. So, anyways, which my sister to this day, she still recalls it. I freaking hate it, you know, when they used to call me that shit. Anyways, So that was, but yeah, I don't know why why he got me this out of all the costumes in the world and all the cool shit. I'm pretty sure there's, back then I got this owl costume, whatever. Next on the line was, I think my mom had these done, or I don't know how came about, but another Halloween is my mom had moved had come to the U.S. My mom and dad weren't together, but my dad was already back in Colombia, and anyway, so we were living with my dad's sister, my aunt. That's another story. Anyways, so one of the costumes that we got is my sister got to be friggin' Donald Duck, and which is a pretty cool costume, I'm gonna say. And then I got to be a goddamn tomato. No shit, I was a tomato. What made it even worse was the hat that I had to wear with it, cause like a tomato with the vine sticking out, and they put lipstick. My cheeks were painted red with lipstick, so I had like these two red patches on each side, and then this entire, not like a blanket, but like just think of like the same. And they stuffed it with pillows because I was a round tomato. And the shitty part about the whole thing is that they start calling me tomate. And again, I was still a kid in Colombia before coming to the great US of A. So I got to wear so I was tomato for, man. Kids can be brutal, bro. And to the point where one time, this made it even worse. Somebody ran by the front porch of the house, and they screamed, "Tomato!" And here comes, my sister, who's younger than I am. "Don't call my brother that." I don't think she even cussed, but she, that made go, oh, and which made it even worse because now your little sister's defending your honor, which, I guess it was nice of her, but that made it even worse because now, my sister, I don't have a voice, or I can't fight for myself because obviously my little sister's got to step up for me. So those are some of the costumes. Later on, obviously I came to the US. Those are the ones that are more memorable that I remember. So in the 80s, in the mid 80s, one of the biggest things, martial arts was like a huge thing, huge. So everybody was, there was, anything was a ninja. There was, American Ninja, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There was all these other ninja movies. All kinds of stuff. Anyway, so obviously the theme of the 80s for a lot of kids was ninja. So I remember living here in Florida, and we went over to what's it called, Carol City, which is not longer called Carol City. It's called kind of like Opalaca, Miami Gardens area. Anyway, so we were gonna go. We're gonna go watch. We're gonna do shenanigans. My mom's friend, who I was good. Her son and I were really good friends. We were all ninjas, so it was like this clan of ninjas, and we were gonna go egging houses because that was back then that was obviously you can't egg houses anymore because for one, friggin' eggs, a pack of eggs almost $10 goddamn, and two, you probably because of bullying and whatever other shit that's going on in today's day and age, you can't do that. But we're gonna go egging some houses and do some toilet paper shenanigans on houses as well. And so we were waiting on our buddies to come over and pick us, and swoop us, and so we could go and do our thing, right? Well, these two dumbasses, our friends, they, because ninjas are supposed to be black. Well, they laid on the grass in front of the house, hiding because it was pretty dark. I don't know. The streets were pretty dark. Anyways, so they laid down on the ground, and they were gonna. As soon as we came out, they were gonna egg the shit out of us, right? Well, they rang the doorbell, laid down on the ground in my buddy's yard, and long story short, as we open the door, we come out like looking for them. We just like that little bit of a pause. And then we see these two dudes standing up screaming and just kind of like patting themselves down. Well, these two dumbasses had laid on an ant pile and that, my buddy's mom had not taken care of. So they got torched by ants. So the ants basically saved our asses because they were going to egg us as a prank. And and I mean, they got pretty tore up. I mean, it was pretty freaking bad. I mean, I think I was 12 years old, so we're kind of all kind of the same age, maybe 11 and 12. But yeah, that pretty much that put a squelch on the egging and TPing the houses with throwing toilet paper over the houses and shit like that night. So those were some cool stuff. And then obviously a couple of years, 1 year I was a cave. My mom made these costumes. I was a Viking, and my sister was a cave chick, and my buddies were. It was pretty cool. And we went to an amazing, here in Florida again. Back in the day, well, it seems like the parties back then, even when we were in high school, I mean, there were some pretty badass fucking parties, to the point where I even took my little brother with me, Jose. So if he's watching the show, shout out to my brother, my little bro, who is not that little anymore, but he was a Ninja Turtle back then. So which is the dude wearing the red shit? I know Donatello, Mike, one of them. It wasn't Leonardo. I can tell you that it was the dude wearing the red. Anyways, those are some of the costumes, and then obviously when I became a parent. Then I did do some of my kids' costumes, because I've always liked artsy shit. And I remember my son Joseph, and this is right after the movie, the first X-Men, obviously with Hugh Jackman and all that stuff. So it was the outfit that Wolverine wore, the black one with the claws. So my son being blonde, I went and grabbed some hairspray, some hair coloring spray. I painted it black, and and I lacquered. I made, his hair and even the beard. I mean, we went to the mall, and everyone's like, people were even stopping, like, holy shit, hey, who did, excuse me, hey kids, who did your costume? And it's pretty cool, blah, blah. And he would always say, it's my dad did it. And I was just like, yeah, it was me, right? And then I've liked doing stuff like that, some FX shit. Stuff as well. So 1 year I made I made this like mask where basically I glued a zipper with some skin glue, and then I put a zipper here, and it's like I was unzipping my face open, and it had blood and all kinds of shit. That was pretty cool. I made another werewolf outfit. I glued some stuff. I mean, it looked just like I was like turning into a werewolf. That was pretty neat. And then, but throughout the times, I used to help my kids with their costumes. Sometimes we would buy them, or sometimes we would do them, and I would do all the makeup and all that stuff. So much so that kind of leading on to Christmas, I made my kids costumes because they had little plays and stuff along the way at the school at Camp Pendleton. So shout out to Mary Faye at Mary Faye Pendleton School. And, it's like every year for like, I think like 2-3 years, even after my kids were out of, kindergarten, because most of the plays were in kindergarten, they kept calling us back. Hey, can you do some of the costumes and the makeup and stuff? I even got to do the Grinch. It was pretty neat. So I was always, like a frustrated artist, but it's been pretty cool, being able to dress up and, all this fantasies that we go through. Being all around, Halloween and, just being all the other things. I think throughout the time, trick or treating was another big thing back then that, going and then counting your stash, like, holy shit, look at all that I got, and exchanging candies. Cause no matter anywhere in the world, growing up in Colombia too, I remember having to do, doing Halloween and going trick or treat. But here in the United States, you say trick or treat. I forgot what we used to say in Spanish as a kid. Anyways, it's not. But the main thing is that you would come back and like, oh, look at all. You would see who had the most candy, all those things. It wasn't until like, I don't know, not even in high school, like in the early 90s when I was in high school, that that I was. Maybe graduating and leading into my kid when I had kids and things that, you start hearing weird shit like people putting needles or whatever bad stuff in the candy, like, hey, make sure you open your kids' candy because you never know what people, and razor blades and all kinds of just crazy stuff, which is, I think it's, it's crazy how the times have changed where, I mean, it's Halloween right now, and we have yet had. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. By the way, we don't have any candy. So back then, and growing up, if your house didn't have candy, for sure you got egged. I mean, that would get put on the list because hey, you should know better, right? But yeah, not even last year, or yeah, the last couple of years that we've been living here for the last 2 years, haven't had any trick or treaters. But, people go trick or treat now at the mall or, in places, in venues like that, a little bit more, I guess you could say, safer. But it's pretty crazy that, for many reasons, how our culture, we've been trained or conditioned to change our ways because of, things that have happened or dumb people have done in the past, to kind of change the way we do things. So, it makes me, and which is kind of sad because I think growing up, I mean, I had a pretty cool childhood in that sense where we got to do some, even the dumb shit of egging houses and those type of things. That was kind of like expected. I didn't see any. I mean, even to this day, I don't see anything wrong. I mean, maybe as an adult now, I will be that older person saying, "Yeah, you goddamn kids, quit egging my goddamn house," or something like that. But now it's like our kids. Kids nowadays won't be able to experience that. So I don't know. Maybe in the future, kids will be trick or treating. Via holograms and that type of shit. I don't know. So, but is there anything, let me ask you, loyal listener, is there anything for you out there or anything that, or any cool memories that you remember, cool costumes or weird or crappy costumes that you want to highlight here on our show so we could give you some therapy and say, hey, it's going to be okay, that you're still pissed off about with your parents or, your family members that you could have wore something much cooler. Hey, throw them on there. Hey, I even encourage you to even throw some photos on there. What I'll do is I'll dig up some photos and see if I have any old photos of my any costumes that I may have. Hopefully I do. If I'll do my best to dig some up, and I'll throw them on the show on the show as well. I guess in memory of Halloween. So bring you up to date. I completed the 2,200 push-ups, the 2,200 push-up challenge that I was fundraising for. So the link is still out there. I know October is pretty much over after today, but I would really love for anybody and anybody here. I mean, this page has 5,500 followers, and I'm just trying to raise $200. If everybody on this platform or who follows this page just donates $1, that's $5,500 that we can donate to this organization to help raise awareness and help families, that have been, unfortunately, victims of, their loved ones committing suicide. So, I even though it was, I was doing 100 push-ups a day. I mean, I pretty much did 100 push-ups every day, minus 2 days because I was having, my shoulder was giving me problems. But nonetheless, and the next challenge for next month is, I think, it's for the disabled American veterans. I am going to do, I think it's a virtual 5K, which I know I'll get to do it because obviously I still stay in shape, even though I have a bionic knee now, a complete knee replacement. I mean, you got to stay in shape, and two, raise awareness for these great organizations that us as veterans, we benefit from. So I would highly encourage you, dear loyal listener, viewer, that if everybody here, again, we got 5,500 people following this page. If every one of you out there, just $1, that's all, $1, we can donate to these organizations that help veterans and raise awareness. It will be something really, really amazing. So, and then also last but not least, go ahead and check us out in the other platforms. Like I said, I'm on TikTok. I put out some really cool videos out there for passing information on things that just because you're out of the service, you should still know, and or for service members, as well as VA benefits and many, many other things. So find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram at the field up 2020 2022. All the links are right here on the show description. So please go ahead and help your local podcaster and help us with the show. So with that being said, before I go, if you've been ruminating, if you've been struggling, these past couple of weeks or whatever the case, nobody here wants to do a challenge in name of you or speak at say be something, a eulogy at your funeral. If you're having a hard time, reach out to our show, reach out to me. I'll be more than glad to, have a conversation with you and talk you off that ledge. Or reach out to an organization like TRICARE, Military One Source, VA Suicide Hotline. There's plenty of hotlines and things like that out there, because nobody here wants you to be a statistic. And if you haven't heard from a buddy in a while, I want you to do a buddy check this weekend and just say, hey, I'm just doing a buddy check, and then tell them, hey, now it's your turn to, pass it forward. All right. So again, with that being said, everybody, I think we're going to go ahead and end this right here. So have an amazing Halloween. Enjoy the time. Build some memories with your family. Ice Tomas, Daisuki. I'll see you later. Ira, get some. Take care, everybody. Bye. Peace.